national coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Melody Fafa Botufe.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
Let it be known that the New Patriotic Party will fiercely and relentlessly resist any attempt to hijack our judicial system for any political gain. We urge everyone to be part of this historic demonstration on Monday, 5th May.
Opposition New Patriotic Party NPP vows to resist every attempt to remove Gertrude Tokono as Chief Justice ahead of a demonstration scheduled for Monday. We'll be hearing from the party. Also, coming up, President John Dramani Mahama, after vowing to end Galamsey, says he has found the whole business to be a rather complex one.
The fight against Galamsey is a complex one. And when I was vying for the presidency, I did not kid myself that when I come into office, I will win that fight in 4 months.
We'll see how exactly he's going to win that particular fight. And later on Eyewitness News,
members of parliament should not be ministers. The former majority leader, Honorable Sechi Mensabusu, former minority leader, Honorable Judicial, President Speaker, Right Honorable, we are all committed.
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Ronokwe, on the constitutional provision on appointment of ministers from Parliament. He says that should be scrapped. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana's business community can heave a sigh of relief as President Mahama assures of making revenue mobilization friendlier.
This is a May-Day edition of Eyewitness News broadcasting from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. I am Umaru Sandamadu here tonight with Melody Botufe. We are bringing you this show around the globe on citinewsroom.com. That's our website. We are around the country on a number of affiliate stations. For instance, if you're headed for the Upper West region, you can listen to us on Tumpani Radio 88.5 in Nadoli, the hometown of the Speaker of Parliament. We are in Jirapa on Jirapa FM 96.1 FM. We are in the Upper East region in Bongo Namo on Rekas 92.1 FM. In Tamale, the Northern Regional Capital, we are live on North Star Radio 92.1. In the Northeast region, we are on Nobia 98.1 FM. In Nalerigu, in the Western region, we are live on Beach 105.5 FM. In Takrady, in the Ashanti region, we are in the capital Kumasi via Orange 107.9 FM. We are also on the campus of KNUST on 94.3 FM. That's Focus. In the Volta region, we are in Dabala on Sela Radio 97.1 FM. We are on Holy 98.5 FM in Aplau. In the Savannah region, we are on Kasha 99.5 FM. In Damongo and in the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM. In Sunyani, specifically at UNED, University of Energy and Resources. You can send your messages to our show 0549 986 996. That's the WhatsApp number 0549 986 996. Alternatively, you can go on Twitter, now known as X, and send me messages there by mentioning my handle at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. Use the hashtag Eyewitness News when you send your messages across. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Fafa has our first story.
The opposition New Patriotic Party NPP says it will resist any attempt to remove the country's Chief Justice. The party says it will use all available means to reject her planned removal. Addressing a press conference ahead of the party's planned demonstration on Monday, the national organizer of the party, Henry Nanabuache, says all must join to resist what he calls capture of the judiciary.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the MPP also wishes to highlight a glaring ethical impropriety. This is very important, and my colleague mentioned it, and I'm going to re-emphasize it as well. In the composition of the 5-member committee tasked with the mandate to investigate the Chief Justice. The appointment of Justice Puaman as a chair is inappropriate. Justice Puaman, having authored a Supreme Court ruling directly connecting to the petition against the Chief Justice, cannot be deemed to be an impartial adjudicator on this matter. His involvement erodes public interest and represents a conflict of interest. The refusal to recuse himself, despite the availability of other qualified justices of the Supreme Court, suggests a deliberate manipulation of the process to secure a determination that is already preconceived. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the MPP wishes to express concern over a deeply troubling and undemocratic posture adopted by the president towards Ghana's judiciary, which reflects a dangerous mindset and a diabolical agenda to manipulate the courts for political expediency. Addressing the closing ceremony of the 3rd Annual Lawyers Conference of the NDC in Akosombo, the then former president, who was then the NDC flag bearer, made troubling statement that revealed his intentions to pack the court with politically aligned judges should he return to power.
You heard national organizer of the MPP, Henry Nana Boakye.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's speak to Frank Davis. He's chairman of the NPP Legal Committee. He's a lawyer. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening to your esteemed listeners and viewers. I'm chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Committee.
Forgive me. I hope you're having a good day, though, the holiday today.
Why not?
Great. Now,
we are in his hands.
You're where?
We are in his hands.
Whose hands? John Mahama's hands or God's hands?
Oh, well, of course, God. Why John Mahama? God, we are in God's hands.
Don't mind me. You should go to the beach or something. It's really nice, except that beaches are dirty, but you could do that.
Oh, age has caught up with some of us, so the beach is no longer pleasant.
About touching, then just have something nice,
We have left you for you. We have left you for you people.
Very well. We'll continue in your name and in your honor. Let's talk about Monday. You have planned a demonstration, and I listened there to the national organizer of your party. He's suggesting that President Mahama is planning to pack the court. Many people on social media are saying it is akin to the pot calling the kettle black when you say that the court is being packed by this current administration, considering how many appointments the former president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo made to the Supreme Court and the courts generally. What do you say to that?
Can we talk about the demonstration, please?
The demonstration is anchored on what is happening in the judiciary, which includes yesterday's appointment.
You see, I really don't. You see, we always have to, as it were, respect the sacrosanct integrity and dignity of our justices, because sometimes when these matters play up, they are unable to speak for themselves. So we always try to maintain a balance. But you see, when people say that, look at the pot calling the kettle black, it's kind of amusing because what is the backdrop of all these things? I mean, what are the antecedents? Once upon a time, there was this orchestrated chorus that President Nana Akufo-Addo had made it his avowed mission, a mantra, to pack the cause with justices who are, as it were, sympathetic to the cause of the MPP. There have been various commentaries to the effect that there should be a ceiling as to the number of justices who are appointed to the Supreme Court bench. And no less a person than our Citi president has been one of the proponents that there are far too many justices on the bench of the Supreme Court. I know for a fact that it is the constitutional prerogative and right of the Chief Justice, as enabled in the Constitution, to make nominations to the Supreme Court when there is a vacancy. When there is a vacancy.
And where is that provided? Which provision are you relying on?
Oh, don't. I think it's either 66 or 144 or something.
Of the Constitution.
Yes, don't.
No problem. Continue.
Article 144(2) or something. But you see, when there's the hue and cry that the Supreme Court bench has been packed with judges who have favored towards the NPP, and you, the sitting president, you have addressed a gathering of NDC lawyers and have stated positively and categorically that a lot of them should aspire to be on the bench so that there will be a tilt of the scales. In the likely event that you become president, you would wish to appoint as many justices or judges who are sympathetic to the NDC's cause to occupy the bench of the Supreme Court. So if just 4 months into office, you have elevated 7 justices of the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, what message are you sending out there? I should be the last person to say that the justices who have been elevated to be on the bench of the are people who are very known to me. Some of them are my very, very good friends. I've had the benefit and privilege of practicing before all of them in the High Court and then subsequently in the Court of Appeal. So, you see, you put some of us in a disadvantaged position when we have to speak about these things. But when statements have come out from a certain president, and this is what is being done, I leave it to the better judgment of Ghanaians. I'm not saying for a fact that those justices are not qualified. They are eminently qualified. I congratulate them and wish them well. But it is for Ghanaians to speak their mind and say what they think. I do not have the constitutional prerogative to elevate justices to the Court of Appeal. It is the president who has, and he has exercised that prerogative.
So if that's the case, one, you do not have a question on their integrity, their professionalism, and you also do not challenge the constitutional provision that gives the president that privilege to appoint, why then do you have a difficulty with the promotion? In fact, when it comes to, for instance, Justice said, and it's a J, a lot of the commentary I see on social media is that the past government, the government which was birthed by the party that you are a member of, was very, very unfair to him by not appointing him or promoting him to the Supreme Court, and that what has happened now is something that should have been happening or should have happened long ago.
Why are you going back on what we just discussed? I don't have the mandate or prerogative to elevate justices to the Supreme Court. It's only the president who has to advise to the Judicial Council. I have never been president in this country. So if Justice Dennis Agay has not been elevated to the Supreme Court, why should I be the one to answer? But you see, let's take it in context. I have already told you that those justices are eminently qualified, and I've told you they are not. Justice Agay, Dennis Agay, if he's listening, he is a very fine justice. I mean, all of us hold him in very high esteem. But I'm saying, Akabuafo, Senor Jamefe, Surubare, all of them. And these are justices we have practiced before. Their knowledge of the law is sound. You cannot fault. I mean, if judgments are overturned, they all judges err on the side of the law. So, I mean, if there's a genuine error and it is corrected on appeal, it doesn't make you a bad judge. But I'm saying, when the person who is elevating them has made categorical statements, so let us see this is in context. I'm not saying that is the case, but I'm saying, what are the optics? What do people think? That is it because you said so, now that you are president, you are packing the Supreme Court bench? Now, listen to me. There are 13 justices in the Supreme Court, inclusive of the Chief Justice. 13 justices. Let me put it, the fact that the Chief Justice has been suspended does not make her less a mean justice of the Supreme Court. She is still a justice of the Supreme Court. She has just been suspended from her offices as Chief Justice, but she was a justice of the Supreme Court before she became a Chief Justice. So she still remains a justice of the Supreme Court. The number now is 13. 7 more have been elevated, taking the number to 20. So once upon a time, what was the quarrel about the fact that the place was being packed and there should be a ceiling? If there's to be a ceiling, now we are leaving 13 to go to 20. I mean, what explains that? What explains that? The judgment should be for Ghanaians. I can't say anything because I cannot stand in the way of the president's constitutional prerogative. I can't. So if the president has elevated them to the bench of the Supreme Court, upon advice of the Judicial Council, we are all waiting to see how many of them.
Okay, let's go.
Will be reckoned by the Judicial Council to go. That's all I can say.
Let's now focus more on the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Your demonstration on Monday is intended to prevent that from happening. What has been the error in the process followed from the day that the president received the petition, for which reason you are going on the streets?
I want viewers to listen to me and listen to me carefully on this point. You see, when we talk about constitutional infractions, I mean, with great respect to non-lawyers, maybe the understanding others have is different from what we have as lawyers. Okay? Now, there is a long line of historical antecedents why it's been the case that there should be institutional integrity and independence of the judiciary. It didn't start from today. Indeed, the Watson Commission, the Kuse Committee, and the 1954 Order in Council Constitution, all the reports advocated for independence of the judiciary and that no president should be made to remove a justice of the Supreme Court without stated reason, i.e., stated misbehavior, infirmity of mind. And even after that, there should be a 2/3 majority of parliamentarians in the People's Assembly. Now, this found expression in the 1957 Constitution. It was only in 1960 that there was an aberration. And that aberration gave the president the power to remove a Chief Justice by presidential authority under a seal of the president, by a presidential instrument under the seal of the president. After 24 February 1966, there has been a determined effort and attempt that those powers should not be held in the hands of the president no longer. So all our constitutions after the Republican Constitution have been to the effect that a Chief Justice cannot be removed from office without conditions stated. There is an elevation in the 1992 Constitution that there should be a prima facie case before a committee is constituted to investigate the removal of a Chief Justice. Now, what has happened this time around? In all of this, the petitions which are sent or received by the presidency are supposed to be in the bosom of the president. All right? the petitions are supposed to be in the bosom of the president. And even the proceedings which will culminate in the removal or otherwise of the Chief Justice is supposed to be held in camera. Now, what are we seeing? And what are we hearing? There are people who proudly beat their chest and say that they have cited copies of the petition, and the matters which are supposed to be determined by the committee is in the public domain, and people are passing their judgment. Now, the removal of the Chief Justice is reduced to the court of public opinion. And political actors, senior political actors of the government, are making judgmental comments and remarks that the Chief Justice will surely be removed. Is this what we call the independence of the judiciary? I'm asking you, is this what we term the independence of the judiciary? So then forget about the fact that, of course, if a petition is sent to the president, I mean, there is no officer, an executive officer of this country, who is beyond reproach or who cannot be subjected to investigative authority. But the process has to be lawful and regular. Now, when people make all kinds of comments on petitions which are supposed to be determined by a committee, what do you put? What fix do you put a committee in? See, those are the things we should be interrogating, but not whether the president has flouted the constitution or not. So far, well, we think, of course, the petition has been sent to him. It's been forwarded to a committee, the Council of State. The Council of State are of the impression that there is a prima facie. So be it. But let us keep it there. Why will people then go ahead of themselves to be saying all manner of things? And it is not only the GBA. Now, it is not only the GBA, which has, as it were, called on the president to halt the proceedings. It's not only the MPP. Today of all days, organized labor, the TUC, at the Labor Day parade. Did you listen to them? What they said? Their language was swift, that they are deeply concerned. It's a matter involving Ghana. We have three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, which is the last bastion of our democracy. Let us make sure that we don't bastardize that institution. Organized labor have made their position clear today. Indeed, Sophia Akufu, her ladyship, the former Chief Justice, it is on GNA news portal that she has publicly stated that the processes which are leading to the removal and the suspension and removal of the Chief Justice is unfair. She has also gone ahead to say and appeal to the 8-member Constitutional Review Committee that there should be an amendment of Article 140 so that the processes should be more stringent. Going forward, she has said that even if a Chief Justice, it is recommended by the committee that she should be removed from office, it should not end there. The Chief Justice should have a right of appeal against that decision. So it's not as if it's only the MPP which is clamoring. It's a matter which affects Ghana. If organized labor has spoken, is it not Ghanaians who have spoken?
Do you not think that because you are the ones leading this demonstration, it may be interpreted to mean the NPP, whose leader or who had a president who made the appointment, may be defending someone who the NDC is now accusing of being political? Would you not have been better if you left this demonstration for, say, the Ghana Bar Association or even organized labor? Because if you are the ones demonstrating, which you are planning to do on Monday, it may be interpreted to mean you are defending a member of your own, which is the accusation that the government is putting across, or the government party members are putting across.
With all due respect, what are you talking about? The right to demonstration is affected. The right to demonstration is affected. Right?
But the interpretation
no. Is it only now then that the MPP has done any demonstrations? How many demonstrations did the NDC hold when they were in opposition? We should not be talking that way. Of course, we are all political actors. Who is supposed to hold the government in check? Are we not the largest opposition party? So even if we are going on demonstration, so what? Are we not supposed to hold the government in check as they did when they were in opposition? What is new? I mean, what is new? Anything that is not only the MPP. There are other 4 political parties who have done. So why are you just calling out the MPP? Why are you just calling out the MPP? And you see, in similar way, from what you're saying, from what you just said, the question you just asked me, is it to suggest? Is it to just suggest? You see, that is why I said, I don't want to fear. Is it to suggest that, okay, that these justices who have been elevated or who have been nominated for elevation to the Supreme Court bench, are we supposed to call them NDC justices? It is not fair. It is not fair to the commentary for us to be speaking that way. Are we supposed now to label them as NDC justices? No. So please, I mean, let us situate the matters in their proper context.
Now, while you are doing that, the committee would have started its work already. The proceedings will be continuing. Your demonstration is intended to arrest the removal of the CJ. Why don't you go the routes of the court where you can secure an injunction and possibly freeze the work of the committee until the issues you raise are dealt with?
Well, I don't want us to be delving into clairvoyancy. Yeah, let us speak to what is on the ground. There's a demonstration. Let us wait for what to come after.
But you're a lawyer. That's why I'm inviting you to consider the courts, which have a power of arresting actions. The demonstration, you may make the point, but the process will still continue. If you went to court, you have an injunction, and that stops everything in its track.
Don't worry. When the time comes for a writ to be invoked in the Supreme Court, you get to know. So I don't think I should be on radio to be talking about these things. The first step is what is going on. There's going to be a demonstration. Let us see what happens afterwards.
I'm actually asking this because one of my texters on WhatsApp has just said that your party is afraid to go to the courts, unlike in the past where you were easy at going to the court, and that this time around you're afraid to go to the court. Are you afraid to go to the court?
No, you see, when non-lawyers talk like that, or even lawyers who are ignorant talk like that, I don't have any response. If he wants to constitute a right to invoke the original justice of the people, he should go ahead. You see, when non-lawyers and even lawyers who are ignorant talk this way, I don't have to respond. So tell the person that.
No, but maybe for education purposes, of the person texting, I'm not sure is a lawyer. I don't know who the person's background.
Yeah,
but
so let it rest. He cannot determine when and how people should go to court. When there's the need for a court process, to be considered, it will be done. So let us wait. It's a step at a time. Nobody should lampoon or nobody should rush anybody into do anything. Let us see what happens. And I'm saying it is not only the MPP and the other political parties who have had a bite at this matter. I said organized labor today made their voice heard. So let us see what happens. Or you may know organized labor will be in court tomorrow. Do you know that? No.
Yes.
Do I know that? No. So let's wait.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
That's Mr. Frank Davis. He's chairman of the MPP's Legal and Constitutional Committee. He's a lawyer speaking to us there about the demonstration that the MPP has planned for Monday to demonstrate against the processes that have been initiated to consider whether or not the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo be removed from office. Meanwhile, Fafa?
Well, the minority leader, Alexander Pinyomakin, says the Council of State has failed Ghanaians. The F2 MP says the Council of State has done a great disservice to the country after establishing a prima facie case against the Chief Justice.
The current attacks on the Chief Justice and the broader attempt to politicize the bench must be seen for what they are. And here, our Council of State failed our democracy. They rehearsed the suspension of the Chief Justice. They got a fake research done, threw it into the air the majority of Ghanaians want the Chief Justice sacked. Before even the Council of States received the so-called petitions, the NDC papers were all over in town saying that the Chief Justice was going to be suspended. Clearly, they had rehearsed the agenda. And if you look at the petitions, for all that I've read, I find it very unfortunate. In this country, we know that when the president, the first lady travel, the cost is borne by the states. Same with the Speaker of Parliament. He and his immediate family going on official trip. Why will the official travel of the Chief Justice, which is backed by a judiciary policy, now become a subject matter of a kangaroo investigation? And they claim that she caused financial loss to the state, etc., etc. But I have something to tell our respected judges. Some of them, I am aware, we are aware, that are being promised by the NDC government. Today, it is Tokonu. Tomorrow, it may be them. They should listen and listen well. I want all judges in the country to know that their institution is under attack. The NDC government is approaching you, the judges, telling you that, oh, Tokonu does not have a good interpersonal relationship. She is snobbish, she is this, she is that. But I want you to know that if they allow them to use you today, tomorrow they will come after you. Act collective. It is your institution which is under attack.
You heard Minority Leader Alexander Apenyomaking. Now, Organized Labour wants President Mahama to exercise caution in his attempt to remove the country's Chief Justice. Labour says the move may set a bad precedent for the country. Speaking at this year's May Day celebration, Secretary General of the TUC, Joshua Ansah, says government must follow due process.
That the mineral wealth of this country belongs to Ghanaians, and that must be the benefit for Ghanaians. Organized Labour has been following events surrounding your suspension of the Chief Justice. We have read bits and pieces of the petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice. Mr. President, Organized Labour is gravely concerned about this development. Mr. President, this process you have just begun set the country and our democracy on dangerous slippery slope from which we may not recover. We advise, Mr. President, that you hasten slowly and cautiously on this matter. Your decision on this matter will be consequential for our democracy.
Now, on the fight against Galamsey, the TUC also wants government to repeal LI 2462 immediately.
Mr. Chairman, the second issue has to do with Galamsey. Mr. President, we in Organized Labour are surprised that 5 months into your reign, the Galamsey menace is getting worse. The destruction of our environments, including our forests and water bodies, is increasing with rapidity. Mr. President, we expect you to provide leadership in stopping the menace of Galamsey. We expect your government to immediately revoke, not amend, Legislative Instrument 2462. Remember, Organized Labour has a letter from your predecessor suspending the LI 2462. Pending its revocation, LI stands as a legal doorway through which reckless mining activities are taking root in ecological sensitive areas. We urge your administration, Mr. President, to take decisive action to close this chapter and lead a new approach that prioritizes environmental protection and responsible land use. Mr. Chairman, the third is related to the revision of the Labour Act, Act 651, The labor rights abuses I have mentioned earlier are rooted partly in the gaps in the Labour Act. Organized labor had worked with the previous administration to review the Labour Act. The objective is to offer more and better protection to workers. We expect the current government to work with organized labor to bring finality to the labor law review process.
You heard Secretary General of the TUC, Joshua Ansah.
Now, the president admitted that the fight against Galamsey is a complex one. He says government will, however, do all it can to end the menace. He spoke in response at the May Day celebrations. Listen.
The fight against Galamsey is a complex one. And when I was vying for the presidency, I did not kid myself that when I come into office, I will win that fight in 4 months. Yet, we will not give up. Our gallant men of the armed forces and security services are up to the fight and will continue to score successes against the selfish companies and individuals who are destroying our forests and polluting our water bodies. As far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned, I say aluta continua.
So that's President John Dramani Mahama. Let's speak to one of the foremost advocates on the fight against Galamsey. Ken Ashigbe, engineer, is convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Engineer Ken, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. It is good that Galamsey was on the discussion table at May Day today, wasn't it? And this whole issue about the LI, where are we with it?
So, Omaru, thank you very much. We want to thank Labour for bringing Galamsey front and center and letting the president know the state of the fight. The president talks about the fact that he did not come into office thinking that in 4 months he was going to be able to deal with it. In September last year.
Just a second, Ken. I heard him say 4 months. I thought it was a slip of tongue. He meant he could fix it in 4 months?
Well, he said he could not fix it in 4 months. That's what he said.
Okay.
At least that's what I heard you play.
Yes, I heard it too, and I was not sure. But please proceed.
Exactly.
Yes.
And my worry about it is that in October, when we were all rallying around and asking the former president to deal with Galamsey, the former president had barely 3 months to go. But you had His Excellency, the current president, you had the NDC, all of us join us in asking for decisive action. And so, yes, we want a lot more, decisiveness in the fight than we are seeing. It is true that there has been a change. The current Minister for Land, his actions are being positive. The Minister for Defense, we're seeing some actions happen. But there are definitely one of the major gaps in this government fight against Galamsey is this LI that they attempted to amend rather than what they had then said themselves that they were going to repeal and revoke. But we are hearing from, I think it was on Citi, that Sami Jemfi, who is not a spokesperson for the president, mentioned, though was the CEO for the Gold Board, talk about the fact it's going to be revoked. We've had a former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Minister Fuseni, also talk about the fact that it is going to happen. I would have wished that the president himself, when he got opportunity, today at May Day, when he got opportunity and he was challenged directly with it, I would have wished that if it's a decision he has taken, he would have responded to it. So for me, that's my disappointment. That when he was asked directly about the issue of repeal, he failed to do it. And so for all of us as citizens, we all need to go to change.org and vote and sign that petition to get His Excellency to deal with it. It is sad that as we speak, the NDC MP for our win has been accused openly by his traditional council of being involved in Galamsey. He's denied it and said it's the chief. But we've not had His Excellency the President, despite the fact that we've sent him a petition that he has acknowledged receipt. We've not had anything publicly about it. The NDC constituency chairperson for Axim and the NDC constituency chairperson for Dunko. The Axim one has been accused of of being involved in Galamsey, the Dungwa one, when confronting military officers that have been sent to go on an operation. A government that really is serious about fighting Galamsey will not be saying that it will be deporting foreigners who are caught and involved in Galamsey. And we don't know. The NDC supported the state of emergency, but that is not happening. But even as we say that, we also need to acknowledge that the current IGP, the Minister for Defense, have team members in the field doing some positive work. Be that it may that you have a mayor of Kumasi who has been using confiscated equipment to do good work. That's so illegal. That is so wrong. And what they attempted to do at the forestry depot, that was reversed. Those are blips in it. So, in as much as we acknowledge the fact that some positive things are happening, there's a lot more urgency that the president needs to attach to the fight against Galamsey, especially dealing with his own. And we don't know what has happened to Professor Frimpong Boateng's, reports that he gave. All those people who were mentioned, nothing has happened. The Minister for Land has talked about revocation of Akunta Mining lease. By now, we have been hoping that the Attorney General will be preparing. There should be an arrest of the directors of Akunta Mine, not even if not based on the current evidence that they have, based on the fact that they were in the Tanonime Forest Reserve, and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Minerals Commission had confirmed that it was an illegality. Based on that, the Minister for Justice and Attorney General, I now should have arrested the directors of Akunta Mining and arraigned them before court.
Do you think there should be some commitment signed on paper, a treaty of a sort that can be binding, by which we can, keep track of the performance of this government? Say there should be some timelines. We should be told that in 1 year this is what we should expect, or in 3 months this is what we should expect. I mean, the former president put his neck or the presidency on the line. Well, that Galamsey fight was lost anyway. How can we have this government commit properly, which commitment we can track and question or challenge?
I think, Omar, you're spot on. And it's the reason why we have called on the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources that we need to have a national dialogue which will come out with a national consensus about the plan to dealing with Galamsey, with clear KPIs, with clear responsibility matrices, with timelines that have been given. And that's what we are hoping that we would work with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to be able to do, and get the presidency to come at that particular dialogue when all of us have agreed that this is what we're going to do. Sign it and own it. And then together as citizens, we would be able to provide the feedback that is required to make sure that happens. You are so spot on. That is really very critical. And we're hoping that the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources would abide to that. If it doesn't happen, one of the things that we will do as a coalition is then to get the citizens' pact that we would put together, and then we would foster on His Excellency the President. But our preferred one is to work together with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to be able to do that. But again, Omar, we have a pact that the President, he was the first presidential candidate to sign with us, and we have that pact. That, I'm pretty sure when we have a press conference sometime next week, we will be putting that pact out for all citizens to know that even as we wait for the national dialogue that should come out with a national consensus and a pact on dealing with Galamsey, even if we don't get that, we would use this and we will share that with the public. And then we will start holding the presidency and all the appointees accountable to what, again, we all need to do. Because, the window to fight Galamsey is closing fast. If we don't deal with this in the first 2 years of His Excellency's term, and the NDC start clamoring for his seat because the next election is going to come, it will be a lost battle. So all of us, that's why I was happy that we had that demonstration. Unfortunately, it fizzled out. I am calling on... I
was actually coming to that demonstration. The one that happened on Monday, did you join? Yeah. Were you part?
No, I was not party to it.
Was your coalition part?
No, the coalition was not part of it.
Why?
They did not reach out to us formally. But so far as the coalition is concerned, any action that is done lawfully and peacefully to push and join the invitation that the Minister for Land and Natural Resources has given to all of us as citizens, we welcome it. And so we thought it was a good exercise to have happened. It was peaceful. The police were supportive. We saw for once that even people in the elements in the government were there to give them a listening. And that's a positive one about it. But we need to do a lot more of that. We need to call on all professional bodies to join the media the way we've been doing this thing to ensure that we bring the necessary pressure, commending the president where it's right, and where they are falling short, also pointing it out to them.
Thank you so much for speaking to us as Engineer Ken Ashigbe. He is convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a break now. When we come back, should ministers be appointed from Parliament? The Constitution says so. Professor Mike Okwe says let's remove it from the Constitution. Stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
LPG. I am from a jar and hotse. Nanso sa and hubetia mawa. I just would dear did you may. Ansana ube so ujano. Here, Nasha se from a jahun cambiara and jeho. Se wote in from a jahun pampana. Bue aponone and pomanu nina. Ebanesa men so ana me numbri biara edi inina mahuade eye juma. Dundum eja biara waso ho. Nafre onim di fo mano meshe mau. Fasamina ensuogu in from a jaton true wano ano. Se ehuro a natural se etue ampa ta ehwe se droban na etwen from agya no hu ntue na ta ise sandroban no acha preko mfie mienu biara echi hwe se abri biara wo be soja no wo bepa wo matches ansa na waso wo stove hwe se from agya ne ho asode no adum abri biara wo mfandi dwuma biara nkratoyi a free National Petroleum Authority aswe.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Hey, of course. You know we have been friends since childhood, and we always tell each other everything.
Oh, Cynthia, I know that. And that is why you're my best friend.
We even eat together, and I have spare keys to your room. I also know your phone password.
Cynthia, don't I also know your phone password?
Yes, so. But what about your Momo PIN?
Hey, no way.
Indeed, Akos. Your Momo PIN is your secret. Do not share your PIN for any reason or give your PIN to someone to send cash on your behalf. Debida, never give out your PIN or OTP as a means of claiming a so-called promotional prize won. Your PIN is like your toothbrush. It only belongs to you. Stay alert.
MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okwe, is calling for the country's constitution to bar the president from appointing members of parliament as ministers of state. Professor Okwe says the constitution must clearly define separation of powers. Speaking to Citi News on the sidelines of an IEA presentation on the Constitution Review Committee, Professor Okwe said parliamentarians must be allowed to stay as parliamentarians and not as ministers, contrary to what the constitution states currently. Let's listen to him.
Members of Parliament should not be ministers. The former majority leader, Honorable Citi, former minority leader, Honorable Judicial, President Speaker, Right Honorable, we are all committed so that Parliament can really play its supervisory role of government. You cannot be part of the players and also be the referee at the same time. It doesn't work that way. There's one unfortunate matter which people refer to with regard to the demand government. And they say members of parliament must also be part of the government so that there is a relationship whereby the government cannot lose its budget debate, for example. What they are saying shows clearly that they don't even understand what it was rather a very good event.
So that's Professor Mike Okwe, former Speaker of Parliament. Let's speak to someone who served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government, the Honorable Galamsey. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufuor government. He served as Minister of State in the Kufu For the Honorable Ni Ayukwe Otu, he served as Attorney General, Minister of Justice in the John Kufuor government. Numo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you for having me.
The Constitution is specific. Majority of ministers should come from Parliament. Many people see Parliament as a stepping stone into the executive. Meanwhile, we have the separation of powers principle. Professor Akwe believes that our Constitution is not providing for separation of powers at all. He thinks that this process that we are going through to review the Constitution, we should have that particular provision amended. What's your view as someone who served as a minister and not a member of Parliament?
Well, it is not only correct to say not a member of Parliament. First of all, you should be qualified as a member of Parliament before you can be given that appointment. Secondly, you are a member of Parliament but a non-voting member because you were not appointed. So that is the correct position. Now, on this rule, as you heard him say, the 1979 experience was that Lehman lost his
budget
because the people in Parliament were not many, because they had power to elect people, ministers from outside Parliament. So people felt that, why? If you do that, then you are going to lose on major things. So why don't you now say that majority of the ministers should rather come from Parliament so that you always have people in Parliament who can defend your cause? Unfortunately, having run this thing for 30 years, it become clear that it is not helping anybody. Although the intention was good to ensure that government policies are voted for, it has now become clear that people go to Parliament and they are not there to do the work as parliamentarians, but they are wishing that they could be noticed by the president and giving a ministerial appointment. Clearly, in the separation of powers principle, they ought not to be serving both in the executive and legislature. But this is where we found ourselves. What is happening? The experience is that most of these parliamentarians who are appointed ministers did not find time to attend Parliament. I was served with all the orders, the proceedings, whatever, and called upon several times to appear in Parliament, but I just could not find the time. I get up, I go to my office, and I'm working. It's only when I'm going to do something specific, like going to lay the ROPA bill before Parliament, that you see that I'll go. Or the president is coming to give a State of the Nation address or something, that we are all supposed to be there. I go. But for most time, I just, though I was a member, non-voting member, could not find the time to go. And that is what is happening. Most of these people, once they are made ministers, concentrate on their ministerial work. They are unable to serve Parliament, to the extent that it is said that in all this, it is a minority members who rather do the work of Parliament. All the majority people are, ministers, and some are chasing contracts and doing all sorts of things. They wake up in the morning, they never come there. So time has come for us to review this decision, and there are strong sentiments that the president should be given the power, one, either to appoint all his ministers from outside Parliament, or two, that if the ministers are even to be appointed from Parliament, then those were majority of the ministers from Parliament should give way. So this is a position.
So for you, separate it. Let the legislature be as different from the executive as possible, and it should be something that this Constitution Review Committee should consider strongly.
I go there constantly. I was only away in Nigeria that I could not attend, but I've been attending. And I'm saying that these are the views quite clearly. Most people who have come do not want it. It is not that it doesn't happen, because in the British system, the Prime Minister himself is primus inter pares.
Yeah, which is actually something I was going to refer you to, because then...
we all know, but we have got to look at our own circumstances. Our circumstances are that the ministers appear to have more, perks of office than the parliamentarians, to the extent that you now even have a situation where parliamentarians are being appointed as board members. That's another problem. These are people who are supposed to have an oversight. Now you make them board members. Look at what is happening to Ghana Water, where a minority leader or something, then a majority leader was the chairman of the board, then to electricity corporation. So. How do you have a proper oversight when all those people are going there? What are they going to look for? So they will benefit from something, already. So our situation is quite different, from what obtains in Britain and maybe the US. So we are looking at our own special circumstances. After all, a constitution is supposed to be sui generis. You should tailor it for your own, special needs. So if we find that it's not working for us in Ghana, I think that the consensus is that it should go.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
You're welcome.
That's Honorable Niaikwe Otu. He is a former Attorney General and Minister of Justice. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Accra. Up next, we are bringing you the latest in the world of business from Citi Business Desk. And then there's no point blank tonight because there's an EPL game, an English Premier League game between Nottingham and Brentford, which the Citi sports team will be bringing you. So after business news, we'll be bringing you that. And that would be after this break.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Go me. And what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Charlie, where are you?
Boss man, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Wale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Massa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Pepper powder, Bekwa Ojawo, Sankofa pepper powder, Sankofa pepper powder, Sankofa pepper powder, Abuna Abonje Krakra, Sankofa pepper powder, Sankofa pepper powder, Ojawo.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Melody Fafa Botufe. The details of our stories now. President John Dramani Mahama has assured the business community that his government is committed to making revenue mobilization more business-friendly and transparent. He stressed that his administration has no plans to introduce new taxes that could threaten the survival of businesses or encourage tax evasion. President Mahama made these remarks while addressing business leaders during a reflection on the recently held Kwewu Business Forum.
I noticed that when GRA was introduced, everybody, applauded. You applauded for GRA. GRA is your friend. I can assure you they are your friend, and they'll get even more friendly, because I do think that the answer to our situation is not to pile on more taxes. The answer is to make taxes more transparent and fair so that you can increase compliance. If you keep on just adding more taxes and adding more taxes, everybody finds a way to avoid those taxes. And that was what we had said to the previous government when they wanted to introduce e-levy. I said, people won't pay it because they will avoid it. And what happened? Introduce e-levy, it's going to be the panacea to all our problems. It will generate so much money. And simple. People started cashing out their wallets and using cash to pay so that they avoid the tax that had been imposed.
You heard President John Dramani Mahama. Now, MTN Ghana has delivered a strong financial performance for the first quarter of 2025, posting a profit after tax of 1.71 billion Ghana cedis. The impressive results were driven by solid growth in data, digital, and mobile money services. According to the company's first quarter financial for 2025 published on the Ghana Stock Exchange, total revenue surged by 39.4% year-on-year to 5.36 billion Ghana cedis. Of this, service revenue contributed 5.35 billion Ghana cedis, a 39.6% increase compared to the same period in 2024. There's more in the following report.
MTN Ghana recorded a profit before tax of 2.43 billion Ghana cedis in the first quarter of 2025, with tax obligations rising by 48% year-on-year to 719.7 million Ghana cedis. Capital expenditure stood at 1.17 billion, 3.6% lower than the previous year, as the company focused on expanding network capacity and improving IT infrastructure. These investments supported a 1.5 million increase in subscribers, bringing the total to 29.2 million and pushing 4G coverage to 99.3%. Data revenue surged by 54.9% to 2.8 billion Ghana cedis, driven by 10.8% rise in active users and 39.7% jump in average monthly data usage per user.
That was the Business Desk report by my colleague Emmanuel Opon. Now, the Bank of Ghana is calling on fintech companies and digital financial service providers to play a more proactive role in safeguarding the financial ecosystem against emerging technological risks. As the country accelerates its transition toward a cashless economy, the central bank says industry players must prioritize cybersecurity, consumer protection, and compliance to sustain confidence in digital financial platforms. Speaking at the launch of the Solace Microfinance digital app here in Accra, Adeline Okran, Deputy Head of Payment Systems at the Bank of Ghana, noted that the central bank is committed to strengthening regulatory guidelines.
We are also witnessing a significant rise in cyber and information technology risks. If not properly managed, these risks, including cyber attacks and data breaches, could pose systemic threats to the financial sector and undermine efforts to achieve a sustainable cash-light economy. Customers who rely on digital platforms are increasingly vigilant against fraudsters and cyber criminals. It has become increasingly imperative to strengthen our cybersecurity frameworks to build a greater resilience and safeguard the financial sector against emerging cyber threats. In this regard, the Bank of Ghana continues to support microfinance institutions and other regulated entities by providing regulatory guidance, developing compliance frameworks, and implementing capacity building initiatives. Notably, the bank's regulatory sandbox and the online regulatory and supervisory system platform have been instrumental in enabling institutions to test and scale digital solutions in a controlled and responsible manner.
You just heard a Deputy Head of Payment Systems at the Bank of Ghana, Adeline Okran. Now, civil society organization Action Aid Ghana is advocating for a coordinated push to cancel the country's fossil fuel-related debt, while urging government and stakeholders to ramp up public investment in renewable energy. The call follows the release of its latest report titled Gaslighting Ghana, Predatory Investment and the Role of the World Bank Group in Driving Fossil Fuel Debt. Country Director of Action Aid Ghana, John Nko, in the media engagement noted that cancelling fossil fuel debt and redirecting resources toward clean energy could enhance energy security.
We need to build a coalition or a consensus for the cancellation, to advocate for the cancellation of this energy-related debt stockpile that is hanging on the neck of government. How do we work with Jubilee initiative? How do we work with the economic governance group? How do we work with more related development organizations to push for the cancellation of some of these debts? So, for example, the government hearing has to pay about $6 million in terms of loans to the World Bank Group and the African Development Bank. How do we advocate for the World Bank Group and the African Development Bank to reconstruct some of these loans, give government a debt relief, and ensure that part of these loans that we are going to pay will be channeled into renewable energy mechanisms, such as solar?
You heard Country Director of Action Aid Ghana, John Nko. And that's all for this edition of Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Melody Fafa. But to fair up next is the EPL game between Nottingham Forest and Brentford.
Citi News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at Citi 973.